Hey guys, Evil Smatter here. I'm going to go over a couple of tips, trips, guidelines, what to do, what not to do with Preservation Evoker for 10.2. Uh, give you guys some credentials of mine. I'm going to quickly show you some Warcraft logs just to give you guys a little perspective on who I am, where I come from. So this is going to be Mythic. We're 4 out of 9. I have no idea why this says 3 out of 9. Unsure. We're 4 out of 9. Our guild is. We're taking a little Christmas break. We plan on getting back into it. I think we're working on 9 move. We got him to like 50% or so. Um, anyway, if we go down to heroic over here, we can see quite a bit of some nice little parses. Excuse me. I'm just gonna give you guys, like I said, a quick perspective on what what I think of Preservation Evoker, how I think best to play it, some of the abilities. You have a lot of options I think with Preservation, and it allows us to um, be creative in our healing. And I'm just gonna show you guys a couple things. All right, first things first, I think even more so important in gameplay is your talents. Trying to know which talents to put in to your character. For Preservation Evoker, there's a little bit of wiggle room. Personally, I think that for the most part, it's pretty consistent on what the top one is. But there's a little bit of wiggle room, and I go through those. Just maybe 4 talents that I alternate between. Playing specifically a raid evoker, I think there's really only one primary raid. It's the Blossom one. You can do the temporal anomaly, trying to combine that with stasis and get a heals off of that. With reversion, using the echo effect. But overall, I think the blossom effect is, or using the emerald blossoms is going to be stronger. That said, I'm going to break this into 2 segments. Um, we're going to go raid, and then we're going to do dungeon. And I'm going to go through every single talent. Okay, we're going to start all the way from the top left, walk all the way down, top, all the way down. All right, guys, we're going to start with the top left side, walk all the way down. I will talk about the gameplay and how I play Evoker later. You'll hear things about it in this section, but we're going to focus specifically on the talents. If you have a question about why I say that's better or not, I'm not going to focus on it here. I don't want to, say things in the video 100 times. So just check out the gameplay section. I'll put it right after this one. And if it doesn't include something, feel free to add it in the comments below, and I'll make sure it's in. I'll either add another video, I'll repost a video, whatever the case may be. Just let me know. All right. Every talent. Let's walk through them. If there's one you want, just look for. Just scroll on a little bit. But I'm gonna walk through every one. Landslide, right? It's gonna be an AOE forward, like a phew, right? Nice little sound effect. Root in a single direction. Not really good for raid. Could be good for dungeon. It varies. I don't run it, but if you had an extra talent, you could. Obsidian scales. This is going to be our only damage mitigation ability. We need this. It's important we have it. If you know you're about to take damage, you can click it. If you took damage and you're about to take more, definitely click it. It's a 1.5 minute recharge. A little longer, but with that we get 2 of them with this Obsidian Bulwark. So it's almost like a 45 second. It's really nice. It shouldn't be used. Excuse me. It lasts 12 seconds with, if you were to even it out, average it out, 45 seconds. So it shouldn't be used on cooldown. But especially as you're moving into raid or mythic, you should be using this relatively frequently to block that damage, right? Help out your healers, help out yourself. Don't die. Expunge. This is going to be removing poison effects. A lot of bosses, most of the time I use Expunge, more than I actually use Cauterizing Flame. Cauterizing Flame is this talent. So it does poison as well. It does bleed and curse and disease. So it does a lot, and it's incredible. It's huge for us because our first one only cures poison. However, I will caveat with it's only a 1 minute cooldown. So a little rough on the timeline, whereas this one's 8 seconds. You can use this a lot more. It does more. It also heals, but it's much nicer, and it's a lot less mana. I actually never noticed that before. Sheesh. All right. Disintegrate. Channel's 20% faster. Disintegrate's not huge. We'll talk about that in the gameplay section. I wouldn't use Disintegrate almost ever unless you have nothing to fight. Even if you have nothing to fight at that moment, you're probably trying to either regen mana, cast Living Flame to get Essence Burst procs, or trying to word jargon. Really, just Living Flame burst procs, or building up your Emerald Blossoms. You're doing something else. You're probably not DPSing directly using Disintegrate personally. Now, I will caveat that with one time, if you have Permeating Chill, which you should be taking this talent, your damaging blue spells reduce the target's movement speed. Now, you're not taking it necessarily for this. You're taking it for like Obsidian Bulwark and Innate Magic, but this is still nice. If you have an ad coming onto you, you can press Azure Spike, right? Azure Spike being at the top left. Feel free to take a look. And 2 enemies dealing Spellfrost damage. So if you're casting any of your blue spells, Disintegrate, right? Blue, it's going to slow that mob down. So if it's chasing you, you can actually throw it for 3 seconds. It's going pretty slow. So super helpful. All right. Verdant Embrace is your next big heal. I think it's huge. If you play it right, it can be a full raid cooldown. Almost a full raid. I would argue that you can't get enough echoes out there, but I would argue 10 to 12 people. It can heal a lot. We'll get to that in the gameplay section. You need this talent. It's also nice. It's only 16-second cooldown. It's an instant 80k heal. It's amazing. I use this spell all the time. Almost on cooldown, but not on cooldown. It's up every 16 seconds. You should be using it often. This is a landslide talent. Don't take landslide. It's not a big deal anyway. Innate Magic, Essence Regen, 10% faster. We like our Essences. Essences is what give us Emerald Blossoms or Echoes. Either way you go. Very important. Echo costing 2 Essence. Emerald Blossom also, or costing 3, sorry. So huge there. We want Essence. Enkindled. Now this is talent I see that is not always taken. I'm not sure why. I love it. It's amazing. Living Flame deals 6% more damage and healing. Now, for a variety of reasons, I use Living Flame all the time, especially when you combine that with Fire Breath, where it heals with this talent down here. Fire Breath causes your next Living Flame to strike 1 additional target. You can actually get 5 heals off with Living Flame with that. So personally, I really enjoy this direct healing increase and or damage increase. You're helping out your raid in either impact. One thing I do see taken over Enkindled is Scarlet Adaptation. So when you're healing, right, it stores that healing up, and then it gives a bigger Living Flame hit, which you're using Living Flame either on a mob or on your people to build up Essence Burst procs, right? Either way you go, you're either doing damage or you're healing. Both incredible. So, excuse me, I don't think the Scarlet Adaptation is as strong. I prefer the direct healing output. Or damage. Quell, your Interrupt. This is nice for the bosses, it's nice for dungeons, it's nice for all the thing. Quell is going to be a big deal. You need to take it. Now, caveat though, if you don't want to interrupt and you're not interrupting, that's on you. You should be. But really, you take that talent for casting Emerald Blossom or Verdant Embrace reduces cast time of your next Living Flame. That's big. You go heal someone with a direct heal to pop, maybe they're low, you're like, phew, you fly over to them, you heal them up, you throw a Living Flame, it's 40% less cast time, right? Huge. Emerald Blossoms, which is the build that you see up here. Huge. I'm throwing Emerald Blossoms out all the time. You should be casting Emerald Blossom, Living Flame, Emerald Blossom, Living Flame, or if you're just stacking Emerald Blossoms and you need to throw 3 to heal your raid, at least you have a Living Flame right after that that's reduced. Combine that with Fire Breath, you're healing 5 people with Fire Breath, Living Flame, and then Emerald Blossoms. It's amazing. Alright, Recall. You may activate Dream Flight and Deep Breath within 3 seconds to travel back in time to your takeoff location. Generally speaking, location is not important. When you heal people in a raid, you can set the distance at which you go, or like this, right? So I can set how far I want to go. If I just want to go short, I can just go short. You don't always need to go back. It could be good on some fights. I don't know. I don't use it. I never have. It's not been a big deal. You can also just hover to get back where you want to go. Look, that was almost a full length of that Dream Flight, right? I was here. I can almost, make it back there in one hover. So not a big deal. This talent swaps between 2 of either Wing Buffet or Tail Swipe, being that, right, we knock the mobs up or push them away. Not a big deal, right? Not impactful. Hover increases your movement speed. This could be nice, but Hover already pushes us forward. I don't see this being incredibly impactful. Maybe PvP. I don't know PvP talent super well. I haven't played PvP in a while, but it could be useful there. I don't see it. And we already talked about Cauterizing Flame. Nice cooldown, but it's got a minute CD, so really Expunge is going to be your primary. Cauterizing Flame going to be maybe you need to heal someone with low health, or you need to cure a bleed, curse, or poison. So, Ancient Flame, already talked about it. You should be casting Living Flames in between your Emerald Blossoms or Verdant Embraces. That's very nice. Magic damage done is increased. This is good just to be good. It's also good for this leech, right? These are two nice talents to help keep you up because you do damage, right? Like Fire Breath. We'll get over here. Damage increase does increase your healing output for Fire Breath specifically. It is nice. You're going to want that. Leech also is going to heal you. This is a good talent. You could change this out if you wanted. Some people take it for this and this one. You could change it out for another one. For now, I personally just keep it. There's not a lot of other talents. I could, maybe take Tailwind or Run Faster, but the Leech is nice. It helps me. I do like to do damage. I do cast Living Flames on mobs, even in high-level keys, to try to push it out. So, or in raids specifically as well too, right? I always try to help in some way. Preservation Evoker has a lot of freedom, a lot of creative freedom. So personally, I run this Leech. Alright, tip the scales. Incredibly important. So, what this is going to do is empowers your spell instantly at max level. Now, if I press it right here, Shift X, right, we have 3 spells. Spirit Bloom, Fire Breath, and Dream Breath. Now, Dream Breath, I personally don't like to use this on unless they need an instant because, as you can see at the top left, it heals more instantly at higher ranks, but hot's less. I like the hot more than I do the instant heal. I think that's common across the whole community. It's a pretty big deal. Fire Breath is really nice, but I'm going to be honest with you, that's only for dungeons and raids. Spirit Bloom is the way to go. The whole raid took damage. You're hitting, I think, 5 people with this. I could be ever so slightly wrong. It's up there. If you can top off 5 people with a nice little crit heal, oh, it is amazing. Huge heals. Let's say you accidentally misclick it or you need to use it on something, you could use Dream Breath, you could use Fire Breath. Fire Breath does do damage, if you run these talents, the Life Giver's Flame, it does do damage, and it gives you the Living Flame procs, which we'll get to in a minute. So yeah, Tip the Scales is necessary. If you need a quick hot heal, I use it on Spirit Bloom almost all the time. This is a 2-minute cooldown. This is 20 seconds. If you're using Spirit Bloom on cooldown, you don't have to use it on cooldown. I would use it close to cooldown. 1 for the sake of our 4 set, or 2 set, sorry, and then for the sake of our 4 set as well. Attune to the Dream. Your healing done and received are increased by 4. We always want our healing increased. Great talent. Sleepwalk. This is going to make an enemy walk towards you. It's our crowd controller, CC effect. We don't want to control mobs, and the same way we don't want to control them with Landslide. It's not a big deal. We already talked about the Leech. I enjoy it. You're welcome to change it out if you really want it. I think it's a good spell. The reason people take this talent is because they want Fire Breath's damage over time to last 4 more seconds. And I personally am not a huge fan of that. It's just not, at least for a raid. I think there's other talents that I prefer. Magic damage reduced, not a big deal. Could be if you're getting stuck on a boss that's nuking you guys. But overall, I think there's, again, better talents. Stamina increased by 6%. This is huge for upping your health, right? And making sure you stay alive when maybe you wouldn't have otherwise. Hover lasts 2 seconds. Again, we're not super worried about hovering last seconds. Now, what this is nice about, if you need more mobility, it could be nice. I think it would be 4 seconds, right? If we popped it twice. But, and that could be nice if you're having to move around a lot, because with hover, you can still cast spells, you know what I mean? So I'm running and moving still, so it could be nice. Other talents I think are stronger. Emerald Blossom heals 2 additional allies. This is huge, especially with the Emerald Blossom build, which I'm currently running. These talents are based on the Emerald Blossom build, and I would recommend it to any Evoker at any stage. It's not required on gear. There's nothing. I think this is currently the best and really, honestly, only build. Alright, Fire Breath, we already talked about it, not a huge deal. Exuberance, while above 70% health, increasing movement speed. Not a big deal. We already move fast. We're already one of the fastest moving characters, so. Source of Magic. Now, this is incredible for a raid, right? This is going to help you when you cast an empowered spell at all. So, right, we have our 3 empowered spells. When we cast those, we're going to be giving mana back to one of the other healers. You need this. This is an incredible healing utility. Make sure you have it on someone, right? It's huge. Walloping Blow. Wing Buffet, Tail Swipe, right? We push him back. It's not a huge deal. You could take it in a raid if you guys are struggling. Not a huge deal. Not even going to try to pronounce this. I will say, though, this talent is important when running the Emerald Blossom. Because if I'm not within my Emerald Blossom, without this talent, I don't heal myself. Disregard the fact that we want these other talents. This talent in and of itself is amazing. I can cast Emerald Blossom 3 times before I run out of essences, because we have 6, and there's 2, or sorry, 2. I can cast 2 times because it costs 3, and it'll heal me. I'll get healed 90k on this spell alone if it doesn't crit, if there's no extra anything, just for healing someone else. And it's instant, right? When you cast it, you don't have to wait for the Emerald Blossom to go off. So that is amazing. I often use Emerald Blossom, even in group, like dungeons, to heal if I have it. If I need to heal the whole group or something, I'm not going to throw Echoes or Living Flames out. I'm going to throw a quick Emerald Blossom because I can heal myself and I can heal the group. I don't do it often. I don't use Emerald Blossom a lot in dungeons, but if I need to do that, I will. Unravel. Absorb shields. This can be nice on certain bosses if you don't have a DPS check, but if you as a healer are having to worry about DPS, I would argue that's a whole problem with the group itself, and could be an issue. Azure Strike damages 1 additional enemy. Already talked, Azure Strike doesn't do a lot of damage. It's really there for the permeating chill. We really need it for this, but it also helps if you're getting chased. So, Oppressing Roar. Let out a bone-shaking roar. So this talent really is not taken for anything other than the Leaping Flames. It is nice on some ads. It can be. 100% can be nice. On certain fights, right? You're using it on Gnarl Roots, and they can get an AoE stun. You're using it on Lardar, right? There's a variety of effects that they can get that stun on, and this will help out, increase it by 50%. And you should be, should be on your spell bar. You should be using it, but the primary use of it is to get Leaping Flames, right? To get that chain down here. I'll talk about Leaping Flames since it's just there. Fire Breath causes your next Leaping Flame to strike 1 additional target per power level. So the reason we want Living Flame to go out and hit everyone, right now, next Living Flame will strike 3 additional targets. I can heal 4 people with Living Flame. If I had an extra Empower bar, I could heal 5. That is amazing. Huge heals, very impactful. Especially combine that with what I consider to be an amazing talent that I don't see a lot of evokers take, is Enkindled, right? I really like this. I think it's huge. Alright, we'll get back to it. Potent Mana. Source of Magic increases target's healing damage done. This is also huge. So, you put this on a Disc Priest. You put this on a Paladin. You put this on someone who not only heals well, but can also do damage. Your overall output of that person is going to increase. It's amazing. It's really nice. Put it on your best healer. You can't put it on anyone other than a healer. The spell says so. It has to be a healer. You need to take this talent. Rescue. Rescue is really nice. Really hard to use in raid because positioning is important, especially in mythic raiding. But it's really nice. And the reason it's really nice, we'll step down a little bit. Rescue protects you and your ally from harm, absorbing damage equal to 30% of your max health. So combine that with the stamina, right? Huge increase with the Twin Guardian. You grab them. You don't even have to move them. Put them in the same spot. Just make sure if you're on, say, the Council, you're not picking up the tank and then getting meleeed by Ursoc, because that would be dumb. Don't do that. But this is a really nice spell. If someone's low and you can't heal them, you have to do a Living Flame, or it's the only spell, just rescue them, right? It doesn't heal them. It just gives them a safety net for 5 seconds. Hopefully another healer will heal them. You can also use it for mobility, rescue. It could just be like, oh, I'm going to pick this guy up, and I'm going to go over yonder, right? All right. There we go. Renewing Blaze. This is amazing. So this isn't a damage mitigation, okay? It's more like it's a reverse damage shield. So what this happens is I'm going to get healed for the damage that hits me, but I have to cast it beforehand. You have to know when damage is coming. The Flames of Life surround you for 8 seconds while this is active. 100% of the damage you take is healed back over that time. So it's not instant. You can't get one shot and be alive. But this is really nice if you know damage is coming. It is a 1-minute cooldown. But honestly, I'm using this all the time, because if I know I'm about to get hit with a spear from Agara, 100% heal back, right? And on Mythic, those spears take us down to 20% every time. I'm using this all the time. We already talked about Leaping Flames, so really, really nice. Overwave. Oppressing Roar removes 1 enraged effect. This could be really good in PvP, I think. On pets, could be really good in dungeons and raids, XYZ, but it's less useful in the healing aspect than current talents have. Hover gains 1 additional charge. This is where I think some of the other talents become moot. Because you have 2 of these. I can just fly, and for 5 seconds, and it's only on a 30-second cooldown. So for 5 seconds, not only did I go somewhere, I can also cast. So for 1/6 of the time of an entire fight, I can cast and heal at the same time for 1/6 of the entire fight. Twin Guardian, already talked about it. Alright, so we saw Renewing Blaze, heal back. Here's the cool part. Renewing Blaze's cooldown is reduced, right? So now it becomes a 30 seconds... Sorry, 1 minute cooldown. It was 1 minute 30 seconds is what I was trying to say. Becomes a 1 minute cooldown. Very big. You should be casting this often. Tear of the Skies, Deep Breath stuns enemies. Can be really good in a dungeon. Some people take it. Some people find other talents to be more impressive. It varies. This next talent is very controversial. Time Spiral. Bend time. Blah, blah, blah. Words are hard today. Bend time, allowing you and your allies within 40 yards to cast their major movement ability once in the next 10 seconds, even if on cooldown. So we get an extra hover, right? Which is huge. So I'm going to take this one off real quick, apply it here, grab this spell, and I'll show you guys real fast. Time Spiral is, I'm going to use both of my hovers, right? I'm going to use it, and then I'm going to press again, and I have another hover, right? Now, I say a lot of people, I've seen others do is remove the Enkindled, get the Scarlet Adaptation, and get Time Spiral instead of the Enkindled. I've seen that. I have. I don't agree with it. I like Time Spiral. I wouldn't. Leaving Flames was one I wanted to do it with. I can't do it while I'm waiting for this to be on cooldown. But I like it. You could change it with Zephyr. Maybe some people prefer that. Now, here's the cool thing about Zephyr, though. You conjure an updraft, right? And I'll use it real quick. Right, you conjure an updraft, you literally start floating, and what's going to happen is you increase the movement speed, but more than anything, and this is the big part, it's huge, is that you reduce area of effect damage by 20%. Let's say you're fighting Volacross, and he does this big AoE in the 2 groups. On one of those, you can use this, and it will reduce that damage by 20%, right? It's huge, it's incredible, it's big. This should be done on every single fight. There's AoE on every single fight. Personal opinion, you should be using this. It is amazing. 20% damage reduction from those hits. My goodness. You should not be using this for the movement and speed increase. Unless you, like, die or need to. The AoE damage decrease, that's where it needs to be at. Right? Huge. Alright. We are going to switch over to the other talents. Alrighty. Moving on to the Preservation Evoker talents, right? Specifically the Preservation ones. Echo. You have to get this talent to get anything else, right? But it is a big talent. Now, the reason it's a big talent is because not only do you heal them, you cause your next non-echo heal to cast an additional time on that ally. So, I'll show you an example real quick. I casted echo on myself. We can see it right here. And now I'm going to cast Reversion, a hot right here. This is a heal over time effect, a hot. I'm going to click myself, and I actually have 2 reversions, right? One healing more than the other. One healing is 70%, right? That on that ally is 70% of normal healing. So, I actually have 2 reversions. The trick I just did, the echo into reversion, can be really good for like 2 tanks. You cast the hot on them. It's really good for a lot of things. I'll put that in my gameplay tips. I'll walk through how echo can be used efficiently. Dream Breath. This is our first look at or first talent, I should say, that is an empower ability. So Dream Breath, the way it does, it's an AoE heal. We can take a look here. If I cast it, you see the range right there, right? And then boom. Now with Dream Breath, we can see that it heals instantly more throughout the ranks and heal over time effect less throughout the ranks. So Dream Breath is actually really good for the heal over time effects and not the instant. The instant really isn't that much. The heal over time effect is where it's at. And I would prefer only using this on rank 1. Reversion, the healing heal over time effect as well, individually. One of the reasons we like crit is because reversion, it increases and extended. That said, reversion is not one of the most used spell. It's decent, it's nice, it's a nice little hot. I don't use it all that often. I use it for tanks. Sometimes I'll throw it on like 4 or 5 or 6, 7, 8 raid members. If there's little damage to be done, but that's about it. Temporal Compression. Each cast of your bronze spell causes your next power to reach level in 5% less time. This is honestly just saving you time. If you can cast that, cast bronze spells One of them being Echo. So if I cast 4 Echoes in a row, I'll only be able to get 3. My Empower spells take 15% less time. I cast another one now at 20, and right now it's going faster than it would have if it didn't. Right, 20% faster. So Essence Burst. Oh man, I was talking about this earlier. You need this. Not only you need this. This is a foundational talent, right? We have to have this. Living Chance has a 20% chance to make your next Essence ability free. Essence ability being Echo, being Emerald Blossom, being Disintegrate. Emerald Blossom being that we try to cast as many Emerald Blossoms as possible is amazing. So we try, right, in between your rotation, you should be casting Living Flame, be it on a person or on the mob. Either or, because Living Flame heals or DPSs. Rewind. It's our major cooldown. It's our big major 3-minute cooldown that you see every class have. What it's going to do is it's going to rewind the damage taken, and it's going to always heal for a minimum amount. Now, that's big. Let's say everyone takes 70% damage. Every single person will get healed back 33% of their health, or however, right, whatever their damage was taken. If they went down 70, 33% of that 70 is gonna give back to them. So huge major cooldown, allowing the group almost not to die. It's our major cooldown. It's huge. You need to have this. If you don't have this, you're definitely playing this wrong. Just saying. Spirit Bloom, our second, and really second out of 3 because Fire Breath is given to us. Our second Empower ability, right? It's going to heal a lot. This is the one I combined with Tip the Scales. It just heals more people the longer you empower it. So for example, I just heal, if I just do it one time, it's just going to heal me, right? Just me. No one else got healed. And when it comes back up again, I'll press it. Essence Burst stacks twice. This is amazing. I wonder if I can get a proc right now. There's one, right? And we can see with Essence Burst, we have Echo, Emerald Blossom. I just have one of them as a keybind. And then a Disintegrate. We have 3 abilities that get affected by Essence Burst. So now it won't cost me any mana. You're not going to see my mana move. And now when I do it again, you saw my mana move. So that was 3 Emerald Blossoms that only cost me 1 because I was casting that Living Flame and got those procs. Alright, we're going to do Spirit Bloom, and I'm going to go all the way now, and maybe it'll touch off on a couple. There, you saw it, right? It healed everyone else, which is really nice. Combine that with our set piece, which you might have saw some Living Flames come after that. You would have seen that from my 2-piece. Alright. Time Dilation. This is not only do you have a normal cooldown, you also have a tank cooldown, which is real. I mean, not necessarily tank. I just almost always use it on a tank. So after not after, it's before. Let's be very clear. You do not do this after they take damage. This is, I think, one of the trickiest parts of being a Preservation Evoker is this ability and using it effectively. I have healed a monster amount, like 3 million with this ability alone in one cooldown cycle. In one 1-minute cycle, I've healed 3 million. I think it's the highest I've ever done. It was impressive. A lot like Renewing Blaze. That's what it is. It's a Renewing Blaze for the tank or for whoever. So 50% of the damage they take would instead be taken over 8 seconds, right? So instead of getting healed back, it blocks damage. You need to do this before. Please do not cast this after. Very important that you do this before. Alright, on Emerald Communion. This is amazing. This is a big deal. So consume, restoring health, mana, so 10% mana, pretty much 100% health. And overhealing is transferred to an ally. So if you're full health, and I want to use it, but I want to save it and show you guys something else real quick. If you're using this ability, it'll transfer if you're full health. So if you're stunned, this is kind of cool. If you're stunned, and you need to heal someone because they're about to die, you can use Emerald Communion, because you can use it while stunned. At the bottom, it says cast while stunned, disoriented, incapacitated, or silenced. It's often used in PvP for this purpose. You can use it and heal someone. The overhealing goes to that person, or whoever. Now, I'll talk about it later, but you can combine Emerald Communion with Temporal Anomaly, with Lifebind, with Verdant Embrace. A lot of spells here, a lot of combination, really cool creative freedom to create one massive raid heal. And when we get to that section, I'll show you guys momentarily. Alright, so we have Empathy. Empath, which increases your essence regen by 100% when using Spirit Bloom, or Spirit Bloom's cooldown. So we can either get more essence regen, right, to cast more Emerald Blossoms, or reduce the cooldown. I like the cooldown reduced, not only for that factor, but because of the 2 and 4 set Empower spells. So when I cast Spirit Bloom, like we saw a second ago, it's going to throw out Living Flames. Those Living Flames are going to give me, possibly, it didn't happen that time. Let's see if I can get it here. Those Living Flames are then going to give me potentially essence bursts, right? And there we have one, right? I didn't even cast the Living Flame. So that's a better way than that talent. That talent kind of is a default choice now instead of Empath because of that. Emerald Blossom sends out flying seedlings when it bursts, healing 2 allies up to 40 yards away. Emerald Blossom being our primary heal, healing more people. It's almost like Emerald Blossom can't get better, and it keeps getting better. It is amazing. Emerald Blossom build is the way you should be going. Life Giver's Flame. So this is really cool. Fire Breath heals allies for 70% of the damage done split among them. Now what's really cool, there's multiple cool parts about this. Fire Breath is an Empower ability. It does damage. Now we know it's going to heal. We want to max this out. Combine that with the idea that Fire Breath causes your next Living Flame to strike additional Empower. Combine that with the idea that your Living Flame, your Fire Breath causes your 2 set to potentially up to 3 Living Flames past that. Fire Breath surprisingly does a lot of things. This is a critical talent. It does healing. You should be doing this right before healing happens, pre-casting it, almost like a cooldown, but less likely, and you're probably going to get some procs out of it for Emerald Blossom. And you heal your group. Really good in dungeons. Reversion instantly heals the target. That's nice, and this could be helpful, but less helpful because, again, we're not casting a lot of reversions. Reversion being the hot here, right? But it's not, reversion's not a big spell. We have Time of Dilation, delays 70% of damage, and cooldown is reduced. Good, but not necessary. Time Dilation is already a 1-minute cooldown. It's actually pretty good. I've wanted to use it more, don't get me wrong, but these other talents that spread around Emerald Blossom stuff, huge. Alright, so this one's kind of neat. Temporal Anomaly. Sends forward a vortex absorbing damage, and it'll do everyone. That's the thing. It'll absorb everyone. Now, as you saw, it was like 38, 38, 38, 29, 22, 16. It does get reduced beyond 5 members. So, it'll hit the whole raid, but it does get reduced. That said, it's a ton of mana. 20,000 almost. And if you're casting it relatively frequently, I mean, and I'm getting out of combat region right now. Alright? It still goes up a good bit, but when you're casting and you're healing and you're, that was 1 Emerald Blossom, and I'm already cycling, cast another one. I'm already starting to cycle, cast Tip the Scale Spirit Bloom. I'm already at 210k. It's not great. So we want to be careful on how much we use this. It looks amazing, but we got to be cautious. Dreamwalker, you're able to move while communing with a dream. So right now, I can't move while I communion. Oh man, I didn't want to use that. I'll show you guys again in 3 minutes. But I didn't, it allows you to move, which can be useful if you're stuck in a, because it doesn't reduce damage taken. It just heals and gives mana. And then Emerald Commune increases your max health. That can be nice, but both, there are better talents. Each time you gain Essence Burst, right? Essence Burst being a primary aspect of our cycle, your critical heals are 230% effective instead of the usual 200%. That's nice. I have seen this talent taken. I do think there are other talents, but this can be good. It's a chance. It depends on how much healing you need, right? But I think this is less strong than other talents. It is a nice one, though. Gaining the 30% for one of your fluttering seedlings to grow into an Emerald Blossom. So remember, Emerald Blossom sends out seedlings. So now we're having seedlings heal, right? Which we said was amazing. And now we have a 30% chance that they turn into a new Emerald Blossom. I could heal a whole raid and get Emerald Blossoms galore. So definitely need this talent. Life, Flame, and Fire Breath deal additional damage and healing equal to 2% of your maximum health. Wow. So combine that with his stamina. And now I do more damage and healing. Oh, that's nice. That's an immediate grab. Echo replicates 25% more healing, because remember, Echo does 70%, right? 70%, I cast 2 reversions. One's going to be at 10k, one's going to be a 7. Big. But not, you got to think that's per person. The other talents we've all been selecting are going to have more impactful across the entire raid. Can be big. I would take this if I was running the Temporal Anomaly build and trying to get echoes on everyone and to cast into reversion. And that was good for 10-1, I believe, but or even just the start of the expansion. But I don't think it's near as strong as Emerald Blossom currently, especially with the 2 and 4 set that we have. Flow state. Empower spells cause you to flow for 5% faster, increase your movement speed, cooldown, recharge rate, and cast speed. This is nice. I don't see anyone take this. Still not as strong, I think, as others. It's only 10 seconds. The 5% faster isn't huge. I think if it was more, the cooldown recharge rate would be useful, but the 5% for the 10 seconds, I don't think has an incredible impact. Because honestly, our spells are cooldown pretty quick, right? 30 seconds on that one, 20 seconds on Spirit Loom. Emerald Blossom is just essence based. Some of our spells are just purely essence based, right? And they don't even have cooldown. So I don't think it's huge. If anything, we would, try to pick up another region on the essence if there was one. All right, Call You Sarah. Call You Sarah is amazing. So, Verdant Embrace increases Dream Breath or Living Flame. So this it doesn't really change our rotation, but in a way it kind of does. So when we do Verdant Embrace, I would argue you're going to want to use Living Flame into a Verdant Embrace and then into Fire Breath. Fire Breath into a Verdant Embrace into Living Flame if you want to get that proc, or just go straight into a Dream Breath, right? You should be using them together. It changed a little bit. If you don't use them together, it's not a huge deal. This is just more, it's maximal. You'll use one eventually, right? But do you want to get, a Verdant Embrace into 1 Living Flame or 5, and then, or do you just want to use it on Dream Breath? Sometimes you don't have a choice. You have to heal with Living Flame because maybe you use Dream Breath on accident, but it's really good. You should be using this. All right, Life Bind. This is such a big deal. All right, Verdant Embrace temporarily bonds your life with an ally, causing your healing on either partner to heal the other for 40%. So if I use Verdant Embrace, and I'll use it, it's only 60 second cooldown, boom, that did not work at all. I don't know why. Let's go over here. There we go. Right, clicked on him, and now we can see a spell called Life Bind. He shares healing with me, right? Huge. This is really cool. It's only 4 seconds though, so what are you going to do, or 5 seconds? What are you going to do with those 5 seconds? Now, one thing you can do, the trick, and I'll put it in the gameplay as well, is combine your Verdant Embrace, right? Let's say we got Echoes, and now Echo replicates everything, right? So now we have 5 Echoes, right? I'm going to do Verdant Embrace. It healed everyone that hit, and now I'm going to use Emerald Communion, and I'm going to heal everyone with Emerald Communion as well. Everyone. For as long as Life Binded lasts. So now, Emerald Communion becomes a raid heal if I can get enough Echoes out, because Echoes will apply Verdant Embrace, applying Life Bind on all of those targets. Huge. Punctuality. Reversion has 2 charges. Again, we don't use reversion that much, not a big deal. Spark of Insight. Consuming a full temporal compression grants you an essence burst. Temporal compression. Honestly, not even sure what it is talking about. Not a clue. I know it's not. Oh, there we go. Each cast. Oh, we have to have a full stack of 4. That doesn't always happen. Cycling spells. It can. I wonder what the cooldown on that is. I actually don't know. We'd have to use a lot more Echoes for that to really occur. Or bronze spells as a whole. And bronze being, all I see is Temporal Anomaly and Echoes. Or Blessing of the Bronze. So, or Res. That's funny. Yeah, not likely we'll always hit 4 there. So, Power Nexus. Increase your maximum essence to 6. It is 5 by default. With this, we can get 2 full Emerald Blossoms or 3 full Echoes. So, definitely need that to make that even number. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this. Casting Echo grants one of the items increasing the healing of your next Emerald Blossom. This is nice. Caveat that with Echo costs mana. We don't cast Echoes normally, right? You can cast an Echo. Sometimes I'll cast an Echo on a tank and then a reversion so they get the double reversion. That I don't really cast a ton of Echoes. Because if I'm using an Echo, I'm using the essences that my Emerald Blossom requires. And I don't want to do that. I want to save for my Emerald Blossom. I'd rather cast Living Flame. Rewind's cooldown reduced, so yeah, that's a big deal, right? If we were to remove that, I wonder if it would take it or not. It's not applied. It's 4 minutes, so now it's 3 minutes. It's a big deal. You need this long cooldown. Disintegrate deals more damage. We don't do damage with Disintegrate. We don't care. When you're an ally fall, I've seen this in PvP. You don't really see this elsewhere because it only heals 1 person. And it can only occur once every 60 seconds. It's not a lot of healing. It's a oh crap healing. you're not going to see this in raid much, right? There's better options. Renewing breath, dream breath is increased, right? This is huge, especially for the hot effect. Either or, it does both. Your healing is increased by 10% on your target spell version. This is nice, but more than anything, you're really taking this, because I wouldn't take this otherwise, for the cycle of life. So we can put, right, again, I put this on tanks. I keep them on tanks, and then I heal, everyone heals tanks, right? Especially with time dilation. It's nice. But cycle of life, every 3 emerald blossoms leave behind a tiny sprout, which gathers 10% of your healing, and then heals them. So if I can get 3 emerald blossoms out, I can guarantee a cycle of life, and then sprouts are healing. It does a decent amount of healing. I don't know percent-wise. I haven't looked at my logs in a while. I do know it does a decent amount. Dream flight. So this is huge. So I've used this for a variety of reasons. Crowd control effects is one of them. It does get you out of crowd control, such as does deep breath. But more than anything, it's actually a raid cooldown. It's a 2-minute raid cooldown, and it heals all allies in the path, but it also puts a hot on them, which is huge, right? This is really, really nice. It is a raid cooldown. This is symbols that you want this. Now, a lot of people like stasis. I like stasis too. I just think it's a bit complex in the Emerald Blossom rotation. I use it for dungeons, and I'll go over dungeons after this. But the stasis is huge. It stores your 3 helpful spells to be duplicated and locked in time. This can be Echoes, Reversion, Stream Breath, not Dream Flight, but Spirit Bloom, Verdant Embrace again, right? You can use Lifebind again. It's huge. Now, it kind of unleashes them all at one time and doesn't do them. It does them in the same order, but it's really fast, and sometimes the order of effects that you wanted to happen didn't necessarily happen like that. But that's okay. Alright, those are the talents. These are the ones that I choose. This is the Emerald Blossom build. You can change a few of them out. Like I said, you can move that one to really wherever you want it above here. But I like the Leech. It's not a terrible option for what's there. Could put it here for extra damage if you really wanted it. Magic damage if you wanted an extra one there. But the Leech is nice. Something I've done personally is before I used to not have this. I don't know why I didn't have it. And I would split between here and get the extra crit heals. But after looking at logs and doing stuff, I much prefer this. I like the movement sometimes with the communion. It's nice, but it's not what I want anymore. I've noticed that I can live without it, and I want to. I have before. I've also had this where your power spells is increased by 1, and that's kind of neat because then I get an extra healing per power level for my Living Flame, and extra healing for my other spells. But I don't know. I find that these are stronger than any of those other combinations. So, all right, let's move on to some of the dungeon differences. All right, I have finished my breakfast. I got a little hungry in between recording. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna switch it over to our Mythic Plus and take a look. I have a lot of talent builds. I was just playing with stuff. The ones that I only play with are really our Blossom and M Plus, right? And we can see the changes already happening. We're gonna walk through those. So in Mythic Plus, right, we don't have Source of Magic, right? I actually don't take Obsidian Scales. This could be a little finicky for some and for others. But I don't take or Obsidian Bulwark. I don't take the extra Obsidian Scales. Boss fights, you generally don't get to them quickly. Even the ad fights, you can generally heal through. Keyword generally. I'm not saying it wouldn't be useful, but I do think some other things that are more important. So in Mythic Plus, I do like to do more damage. So storing this heal is a big deal. Storing this heal into the next damage, Living Flame, is a big deal. It is important. Excuse me. We do get into, we do take Sleepwalk, right? So Sleepwalk, a disoriented enemy, it walks to you. If you have an extra ad, they're causing a problem, maybe you have a pat, something happened, you can cast this. I forgot what boss it is. Oh, goodness. Let me, why is that's what I meant. If we're going in AD, right, and on the Razan boss, right, we have the little skeleton dinosaurs, Skeledors, whatever they're called, and they're chasing you. You can use it on them, right? Things like that. It's big. Super helpful. We do take magic damage taken reduced. A lot of dungeons have magic damage. A lot of problems. This is one of the biggest ones is actually AD and Yasma, right? When she creates the echoes, It does a lot of damage in Mythic Plus. A massive amount, actually. It's insane. Magic damage, huge. We still take Emerald Blossom. It heals 2 additional allies. I will say Emerald Blossom is much less useful in Mythic Plus. You should not be casting them often. Caveat that with, if you're low on health, and everyone's low on health, Emerald Blossom heals you instantly. It doesn't heal them, but if you're about to die, you can throw an Emerald Blossom on a teammate who's about to die. It heals you, gives you time to heal them. It works like a charm. If you're in a pinch, you can use that on them. That said, I prefer Echoes in Mythic Plus for the most part. I do like to keep Reversion on the whole group. It is nice. We do take this hot over 4 seconds. It's a big deal. It's nice. It helps with DPS, right? We're looking for DPS and heal offset. We already didn't take those. We're not taking them. Didn't take those. We want this. This is big, still big, especially in Mythic Plus, right? We want that CC. We want to help our teammates out who throw a stun on mobs. It's a big deal. Didn't take Source of Magic, so didn't take Potent Mana. We get Rescue, Lush Growth, and Renewing Blaze, right? Leaping Flames. Also have this one. This is really big because not only can you heal your group, you can do damage to mobs if no one needs healing. You become, you can hit all 5 mobs, or you can hit, you can, XYZ. There's a lot you can do with this. We do get an additional charge, like before. We don't take Twin Guardians, so we're not going to rescue them in the dungeon. At least I don't. I think Zephyr helps out more. A lot of AoE damage in dungeons. It is a 2-minute cooldown, but this is really helpful in dungeons. Remember, this is not meant to be, you can use it as movement, but you should really be looking at this as more of a damage reduction than anything. So yeah, the primary ones being Sleepwalk and the Scarlet Adaptation. Those are going to be the big offsets, right? In terms of your Preservation side tree, right, we're not going to take Emerald Blossom sends out an ally, right, sends out healing. We are going to take Reversion instantly heals the target for 15% of the damage taken. So you're actually using a bit of Reversion. I do use Reversion. You can drink in between fights, and you should be. Thus, because it doesn't cost that much mana, you should be throwing out Echoes. You should be using Reversion on cooldown. There's a lot you should be doing. Reversion has 2 charges, right? So now you're healing them for the last damage, 50% of the damage they've taken, and there's 2 stacks. Combine that with Echoes, almost everyone should have. And remember, don't forget, because of this talent right here, Typical Anomaly applies Echo. Everyone here, right, is going to get that. And then if I cast it here, they're all going to get Hots as well. He has, although he had a Temple Anomaly, he had a Reversion. I have Reversion. He's got Reversion, right? All these are important. So, boom, got one there, and we'll just knock into him if it lets me. Did it put it on the Scale Warden? It definitely did. That's funny. Alright, and then we're going to put it on him in 2 reversions, right? Alright. What's next? Alright, we also take Emerald Commune increases your health. So when you're using Emerald Commune in a dungeon, you're more than likely doing it because someone's going to die soon. Or you're going to die soon, one of the two. So increasing health is really nice. It's also really nice because it heals you for 20% of your health. If your health is increased, it'll top you off real quick and then heal your teammates. 20% of your health just went up, so it's going to heal them even more. It is incredible there. We still take the damage from Fire Breath and Life, Living Flame. Huge there. Echo replicates 50% more healing, so check this out. I cast Echo on me, and I cast 2, so I have Reversion healing for 11,000 instead of 7, and we still have the 10,000 one, right? So it's actually healing for more than the initial. It went from 70 to 50, so it's like 120% total from that one. So that's really nice. Life Bind, functionality we already talked about. We don't take Disintegrate. We're not doing that much damage. We're generally still not using Disintegrate because Disintegrate requires 3 Essence. You can use it. If you want, you can use it for a mob that's chasing you. I usually use Azure Spike because I can run away and hover away, and Azure Spike, run, hover, all the fun stuff, right? And it still does the permeating chill effect. Let's see what else. So we have Empower maximum levels increased by 1. Now what's cool about that is, look, now you can see that my Fire Breath does more damage. It does 103 at the max stack. My Splitter Boom heals 4 allies, right? I can heal the entire raid. Entire group for the most part. Almost the entire group. Dream Breath does more healing. At least hot healing. I still like to use it for hots and dungeons. We're not taking Dream Breath Healing or Dream Flight, right? We don't have those. We don't need Dream Flight, and we don't need Dream Breath is nice, but again, for the hot, it's not required. What we do take, the big difference here is that we still have this because we have an extra talent. Your healing is increased with your target's reversion. We do use reversion, so that extra healing is really nice. But what's really nice is these effects last longer, right? So we have reversion, time dilation, and echo. You should be using time dilation. So now it's 10 seconds. So you're using this every over 1/6 of the time you have this. And you should be using it, at least on bosses for Mythic Plus, at a minimum. Again, before the fight starts. Or not fight starts, before the damage is taken. Stasis. This is the big one. Causes your next 3 helpful spells. We talked about it in the last segment a little bit. But we'll use it real quick, right? So stasis, I'm gonna press it right here, right? I have stasis, and now I'm gonna cast a Dream Breath, right? I'm gonna do it at 2, and then we'll cast an Emerald Blossom, and then we'll also cast a Temporal Anomaly, right? So now I've done it. I could have done that beforehand, but whatever. So now I'm gonna press this. You can see it's 3. There are weak auras. I don't have it because I generally keep up with it in my head, but there are weak auras that tell you what abilities you have. I don't have one on. I used to. You just get used to it. I'm gonna press it now, and you're gonna see wrong button. You're gonna see a Dream Breath. You're gonna see a Temporal Anomaly, and you're gonna see an Emerald Blossom. All at like, yeah, you saw that? It happened fast, and sometimes it's too fast for the cooldowns to happen, but it still works, right? So that was nice. That's free healing. Every 1 minute, 1.5 minute, every 1.5 minutes, free heals, right? Easy. It costs 10,000 mana. It's a little bit. It's not a lot. But yes, it is really nice. And that's it for the talents. Alright, everybody. I am joining a quick LFR to give you a quick overview of some of the abilities, combinations, really a gameplay guide to Preservation Evoker, right? This is going to be the raid build that I have, the Emerald Blossom raid build. I was doing some PvP a minute ago, but we're going to switch it up. I didn't actually change gears, so I have to do that real quick. I should assign that. That would be smart, wouldn't it? Mm-hmm. I'll go over stats in the next section. But for now, I just quick LFR. I mean, I'm 4/9 Mythic. It's not a big deal. But a quick LFR I think will help out a little bit. I'll just give you guys that little 1-2 fuzzy on how to play Preservation Evoker. If you any questions on the talents, anything that you want to see done, stuff like that. Mind you, this is LFR. I'm gonna overheal a lot. I have Mythic gear. Yeah, that's just a reality. But you still get to see it live in action. We're just going to look at Naru real quick, give you guys a quick overview. Let me get through some of this trash, and then I will get to it. All right, guys, we're back at it. Didn't eat the food. We don't need it. Not today. All right, you see here that I'm just casting. I got 2 Emerald Blossoms off, right? The 6 essences, 3 essence per each. Right now I'm doing damage. I mean, people are getting hurt a little bit. I'll throw out a Fire Breath. We're going to get out of this real quick. We're going to throw out a Dream Breath, some Emerald Blossoms. That Dream Breath got me some free from the Living Flames it casted. I'm going to throw out a Temporal Anomaly. Since that dot damage, dot ticking is going to help out everybody here. I wish this range would stack a little more. That's alright. There's still not a lot of damage happening. I mean, it is LFR. We're just chilling. I don't think anyone pressed here. We're going to wait till here until the phase. Get out of that. Alright, we're going to stack Dream Breath. There we go. For all the people, cast some Emerald Blossoms. I have Emerald Blossoms to not only for my Voodoo, which I'm obviously using, but also like if I wanted to click someone with it and press a keybind, it'll pop right here. So. Alright, Dream Breath is about to come up. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a Verdant Embrace, and it's going to increase my Dream Breath by 40% because of that talent. We want low stacks of Dream Breath. It's going to heal everybody. He's going to phase, not a big deal. I'm not really using that much mana. Maybe a little faster. I'm using a little more Living Flames than I wanted. I'm just really spamming it. It's not terrible, man. Decent reason. On this, everyone gets stacked. So this is what we're going to do. Tank is getting hit hard. I'm going to go ahead and put this on him for time dilation. Anything that hits him after for the 8 seconds is going to heal him. We're also going to do a quick rewind for all the damage that just happened. It wasn't a lot, but it was enough. I don't really think we're going to get much more damage in LFR anyway. Not a huge deal. I'm going to go ahead and do a tip the scales with a Spirit Bloom. There's more than like 4 or 5 people hurt decently, so I'm going to click it, and you can see it jumped up a good bit, right? We're going to do a jump, and you can see the life bind on 6 people into 2-stack Dream Breath, only because I was trying to say it, not because I meant to. I would, again, always do 1 stacks. Just popping off Emerald Blossoms on where people are getting hurt. LFR is easy. I'm throwing out some temporal anomalies. That's why you see those echoes, right? Those echoes, I cast them. I can throw out some more echoes, and then we can do one big reversion on everyone. If there's not a lot of healing, that's what you can do, and then get back to Living Flames to try to get your free Emerald Blossom stacks. That does help a lot if you have your 2 and 4 set. 2 set being Empower spells, cast up to 3 Living Flames. It depends on your Empower amount, I believe. So Dream Breath giving only 1 is only going to cast that a little bit, right? Something else I will show you. I won't be able to show you actually. If I did the Temporal Anomaly into Lifebind, the 4 or 5 Lifebinds you saw, casting Verdant Embrace, and then I did Emerald Communion, every Lifebind would have been able to get healed from Emerald Communion. Which would have been a lot of healing. Additionally, the overhealing from them also spread. So, very strong, very strong. If there's anything else you want to see from the gameplay, that's really how I play. A lot of Emerald Blossoms, try to get as many Living Flames out. The Living Flames give you free Emerald Blossoms, so the mana that you're spending on Living Flame gives you back from the free Emerald Blossoms. The whole point is to have enough 3 or 4 Emerald Blossoms, 2 from the 6 Essences, and then 2 more from the Essence Burst stacks to give you 4 Emerald Blossoms to heal up the entire raid when damage is about to come. And really, that's the big part, guys. Last but not least, we're gonna go over some gear real quick. Gear and stats. Things that I've noticed, I've experienced. Some things I agree with, some things I kind of disagree with. So I was looking at raid bots and questionably epic and all the fun stuff. And I'll be honest, it's not a huge difference, especially item level. Item level comes first. Intellect is important, right? Intellect increases your healing. It's just the reality, right? So intellect is big. If there's a small difference, that's where I would start looking into mastery, right? You want to heal. Your healing done to allies is increased by so much if they're lower than you. Now, what's really cool about this with Emerald Blossom build is that, remember, the Emerald Blossom heals you instantly. So if you can top yourself off using either Emerald Blossoms, Verdant Embrace, whatever. By the way, you never want to use Verdant Embrace on yourself. You want to fly them because it's going to heal you and them. It's decent. It's a lot of healing. Don't use it on yourself. If you have to, you're about to die. I get it. That's like the only time. With that, Emerald Blossom, this one's going to heal you. Pretty much every spell you use in some capacity other than Living Flame is going to heal you as well. With that, our mastery is huge because it allows us to stay above health of all of our peers. Mastery should be what you're stacking. I think almost every item I have is mastery. Mastery, mastery, mastery. That's not mastery. The set, a little harder, obviously. Mastery, that's a big mastery. I want to replace that with more mastery. There was a mastery haste one I think looked okay. I have very little haste. Haste is not something I go for. The second one I go for is crit. Really, honestly, got this from a guide. I've really enjoyed it. I know it really works well with this talent. I don't know exactly why we run crit. Other than to crit our heals, I don't know if the crit causes any of our spells to do anything fancy. Can't think of it on the top of my head, but crit is really good for us. Haste isn't that big of a deal. Haste is going to be more of a deal in PvP when you're trying to reduce the cooldown of, say, Reversion. If I were to put all this PvP gear on that's haste verse, it's going to reduce the cooldown of Reversion. Allows us to keep our hot on, right? Echo, Reversion, putting 2 Reversions on there and reducing the global cooldown, which is huge. Also for Echo, reducing that global cooldown. So not really needed in this aspect, in the raid aspect, but good if you're looking into PvP. Okay, so in terms of gear, in terms of actual gear, the 2 trinkets you want, I don't know that I really go for anything else. I'm going to be honest. I would be farming these like crazies. Echoing Turstone. So the way this works is Echoing Turstone, you record it. You have 10 seconds, right? You have 0 healing. So I'm going to start popping heals on myself, and I'm going to try to get it up as much as I can. It's probably not going to be full. because it only records so much, like 35%. Now has recorded that much health. When an ally reaches 35%, okay, it's going to heal them. But it's also going to split that healing across other people and give them haste. You're getting a haste increase, so it's better than Rain Song, although Rain Song gives a lot more haste. Um, it's it's gonna top them off, and you can do this every 2 minutes. So just make sure you're pressing the trinket. It's a huge intellect, and it's on use. One that's not on use, having one on use, one equip is always a good idea. Especially because of the 20-second GCD between trinkets. You can't use them both, right? This is Pip's Emerald Friendship Best. And what this is really cool is based on giving you stats and them stats and a huge amount of it. So default trinket of intellect straight into equip of a secondary. And let's see what we got. Right now I'm running verse. So that's okay. I mean, any stat here is not bad, just to be clear. Verse is going to increase our healing directly. And giving, sorry, verse is going to increase our healing directly and reduce damage taken. Right, so that's going to be amazing. I mean, it just switches. So really nice. Other than that, I've played with a variety of things. You're going to have things like, I like Dreambinder personally. You can see it on my spell bar. I still have it there. I was looking at raid bots and it said this might be a little better. So I think this is better because it has a chance on hit. But the likelihood that, I'm going to hit a mob above 90% just doesn't seem like super likely. But I think what's really made it a lot better is because I ended up getting this from my vault. And it gave me a huge mastery increase because this one only has 326 mastery. That has 343. Combine that, that's 700 mastery. So really good. Also, I think it's a bit more, yeah, it's like 200 more intellect, right? So really, really nice. In terms of crafted gear, what you're going to want to get is the adaptive Dracothist arm guards. It's not cheap. I'm going to be honest with y'all. We're looking at like 50, 60K, I think, for both of these. Right, so we have Mastery Haste. I needed a little bit more haste than what I had. I was trying to push it at the time. I could probably go change that. But right now, Mastery Haste. I say I needed a little bit more. I had almost none, guys. So I was trying to get a little bit out there. What this allows us to do, right? You adapt to your situation, giving you crit or verse. Causing damage gives you mastery or haste. So pretty much anytime you're doing anything, you're either getting mastery or haste and verse or crit, right? It just happens. I don't know the pop for this, but I know it's incredibly useful to us. Similarly, with our allied Leguards and SOTCon, super helpful because we're support characters. Well, not support in an AUG, but support as a healer, and we need to heal as we heal, right? We rally our allies, giving us verse. Verse is a good stat for us. It's just not the top stat. I mean, verse is pretty much good for anybody. Reducing damage taken, especially in a dungeon, right? This is going to be helpful to your tanks. It's going to be helpful for everybody, increasing your output, reducing damage taken. Really, really nice. Other than that, I would be running Mastery Crit on everything except, you're going to have a little bit of haste, right? That can't change. You're going to have haste from there. You're going to have verse, right? You're going to have, that's actually master crit. You're going to have haste here. So things are going to happen. Other than that, all of my gear is crit mastery. And that's it. And that's the end of the guide, you guys. I appreciate you guys watching. If y'all have any questions, comments, concerns, things that I could do better, or if you want to see more, let me know. I wasn't going to make an AUG one. I wasn't going to make a PvP one. But if there are things you want to see, now I'll be honest, I'm not a huge PvP. Still getting back into it. Actually did some today for the first time. But if there are things you want to see, just let me know. Happy to show you guys. That said, I stream on twitch.tv/evilsmaher. The same thing you're seeing on this guide. Feel free to go follow my TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Made a page for all you guys to follow and see updates I have. I play not just Preservation Evoker, but I actually play other games as well. I goof off. I just have a good time. Y'all come hang out and just enjoy yourselves. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see y'all soon.